What's up, guys? We're back on the E46 with the 6.2. We have been accumulating parts for a few weeks and working on the engine a little bit. So what we got is all the old rods are removed. Replacement rod for cylinder number 7 that was cracked. Piston got cracked from the valve seat dropping number 7. And then we got our camshaft from Michigan Motorsports. Down there in that box, we got some main cap and rod bolts. Then we got melting oil pump, new lifter trays, new head gaskets, new lifters, springs, retainers. And over here we got front seals. We got some new rings for the pistons, some new race bearings, king bearings, rod and mains, crankshaft, bolts. And since this was a VVT engine, we got the delete kit for that, which is, you know, the front cover, the cam gear, stuff like that. But now we are been working on honing the cylinders with the ball hone. This is a garage backyard build, so we're not trying to be fancy, but let's get some good cross hatching in there. This is the first time I've built an engine in this spec, or first time I've ever taken an engine apart and actually did some work and actually reassembled one. I usually give up and sell off everything when I get to this point because I get stressed out. But we're going to push through. The homies are keeping me going with this. And we're going to get this thing back together and get it in, because we got Drift Day in St. Louis March 2nd, I do believe. And that's our hometown or our local event, whatever you want to call that. And we're going to make it with the E46 with the 6.2 running. We got to get the engine together, get it thrown back in the chassis. We got to go get it tuned. And for all the fellow people that follow me on Facebook, we still need an intake. Maybe by the end of this video, there'll be an intake in this video. But I kind of bobbled around on going Holley High Ram or a BTR Trinity or just a factory LS3 intake. All good options. I think the Holley is more for the aesthetics, the out the hood look. It has grown on me over the years. I kind of like it. I think the BTR would be a better performance one over the Holley. But I don't know. The look of the Holley out the hood might overwhelm the performance that the Trinity has over the Holley. Haven't decided. And we might just do the LS3 stock, the stock LS3. I haven't decided that because I'm not a big fan of the way the stock intakes look. They just seem boring and whatever, but we might do that because it is the cheapest option. But we don't always do the smart thing, right? Now, I was going to go LSA. I have a buddy with an LSA. He offered to me for a good price. I did some research, and I just don't think I'm ready to spend that kind of money to make it work. Plus, that additional power from an LSA will indeed make drift days more expensive with tire usage and fuel costs and stuff like that. And I don't think we're gonna ever go too crazy in comps, so we don't need that kind of power. I don't think. It would be cool to have an LSA. It would be cool to have the supercharger sounds, and it'd be cool to be boosted. But I'm really up in the air. But by the end of this video, we'll all know the answer to what I actually decided to do there. I also got offered a deal with a turbo setup. It's a really good deal, and I really want to do it. Even more than LSA, because turbo cars are amazing. It's been a few years since I had a turbo car. I had a turbo Trans Am LS1 with a turbo. It made like 600 wheel horsepower or something like that, I think. But anyways, by the end of the video, we'll know what intake I buy, or if I buy the LSA, or if I choose to go to the turbo route. In which case, I still need an intake. So whatever. By the end of the video, we'll know what intake we're using, right? I've been pushing some buttons on Facebook with some people, some friends. I don't think they're getting mad. I think they're just kind of getting annoyed. But I post about it every couple of days saying I need an intake. But anyways, back to the build. We bought some new heads. They're just factory 823 heads. But they're all cleaned. They've been machined. Get you in here. Valves have all been cleaned. Everything's been valve lapped and valve job stuff like that's been done. Now the reason behind that is the valve seat that fell or dropped out of the head did do some damage to one of the heads. Right there, it chewed up that, and then that valve seat needs replaced. And then there's the other head. This one's still good. But I didn't realize it when I bought everything that one head is an 821 and the other is an 823. I don't think that matters, but it bugs me that they're different. I think the only difference is factory that the springs are a lighter weight. Anyways, it bugs me that they're not the same. So I bought some new heads. So those are for sale. There's an 823 head that's good. 821 head has the valve seat missing and needs some work. So that's the update here. Like I said, we're going to be honing this engine out. That's going to be what you see next. I got those 4 cylinders done on this side. I need to do the other 4, and I need to get this thing on my engine stand to make things a little easier. But I keep forgetting to go get bolts. My transmission bolts that I have are too short to fit the stand, so I need to go get some new bolts. Alright guys, we're going to hone out the other 4 cylinders. The last little clip, I showed how you do it. Big old ball hone, WD-40, lube your ball, lube your cylinder, hone away. We're going to time lapse these 4. No sense in doing it real slow, showing it like that. Alright, and that's how you hone cylinders with a dingle ball hone. It's not the best option. Best option is a machine shop. So if you're looking for the best option, take it to a damn machine shop. But this is a budget build in my shop. For myself, first engine build. I'm happy with this. It looks good. It's gonna work. So next up is we're going to work on degreasing the block a little bit, clean up some oil stuff from the, I guess, previous owner. Clean up the head gasket surfaces. We're going to flip this thing over, and then we're going to get the crank put back in with the new bearings, get it torqued down so that way we can start working on the ring cap. All right, guys. Now we're going to clean up the crank journals, and then we're going to install our king bearings. So on your crank bearings, your bearings all have a full surface, like no holes. And then you got ones with the oil holes in them. The oil hole side, whole bearing will go on the block side. You want to clean off the bearing surfaces on the block, and then go ahead and wipe off the back side of the bearing. And then of course when you put them in, make sure you're following your tangs. Put them in the right way. All right, guys, we got the crankshaft back in, main cap's on. We're gonna do the torque sequence. Just gonna send them home. Now we're just gonna snug them up with this. All right, now we're gonna torque the spec, 15 foot-pounds, every bolt, proper sequence, then hit the crank. Sick. Was that you? All right, after you hit it with the blow or the dead blow, just to center the thrust bearing, finish torquing. Go ahead and make sure you torque down right. If you're using torque to yield bolts, you got torque spec to a certain pound, and then you got degrees. All right, we got the main caps torqued down, angled. Crankshaft moves freely. No tools, and you can move it. We're good to go. Now we're gonna flip this thing over, start doing piston ring gap, so we can get those pistons put in. All right, back to it on the 6.2. Now we're gonna be doing the ring gap. We're gonna be doing a bunch of filing. Put the ring in, measure, take the ring out, grind it down, put the ring in, measure it, take the ring out, grind it down, put the ring in, measure it. A lot of that stuff. I might go through it real slow or normal speed for one. After that, it's gonna be a time lapse of me just going to town. All right, so that time lapse was of me doing the piston ring gap for the even bank of the engine. I already did the odd bank of the engine and my GoPro batteries were dead, so I went ahead and did it anyways. But that's how you do it. I ended up gapping to 0.028 and second ring at 0.032. That way if we go boost later, they're ready to go. I plan to go boost, I just don't know when. So now it's time to get them on the pistons and get them installed. But here is the odd bank stuff installed already. I still got this piston laying here just to keep track of which one I got to replace. I was using the new piston that I need to use in place of that broken one to push the pistons down so they're even in the cylinder. And then a buddy loaned me this little filler gauge kit where I could space out. I could have 4 already preset. I didn't have to dig through the whole thing of them, try to find what I was looking for. The only reason I was doing that a little bit was so I would like ease up on what I was trying to do. not, you know, yeah, sneak up on it. But rings are done. Got to get the pistons fully cleaned up. My buddy Nathan helped me out the other night and got all the oil and gunk off of them. Now I'm going to go back through and I'm going to clean up like the ring seat on the even bank pistons because I already did the odd banks. Get that done, and then we can assemble these things, get them put in. That way we can torque down our rod bolts. We got new rod bolts to put on. We're not going to reuse the ones that are here. What's up, guys? We are back the next day. We are now going to stab these pistons into this block. Sick. All right, time lapse showed that we put the pistons in, got the rods bolted down, torqued down, and it spins. It's not making any weird noise. Not yet, anyways. Pretty effortless. So hopefully we're in the clear there. Obviously won't know until it's running, but all right, now we're going to put the cam and the timing stuff on. Oil pump. We got the melling, high pressure, stock volume, new trays, LS7 lifters, chain, cam retainer plate. Make sure you place these things when you're here because this gasket here goes flat and you lose oil pressure internally. Chain guide, new gear for the VVT delete, cam bolts, retainer plate bolts, new front cover, and then the party. Michigan Motorsports stage 4 drift cam specs. From some of my previous videos, if you go back and look at them, the Orange Z I did, it had the Michigan Motorsports stage 4 drift cam, I think, for the Cathedral Port LS1, but it was a 5.3, same thing. And it was awesome, performed awesome, sounded great. So we had to go back with Michigan Motorsports drift cam. So this is going to be throwing all that stuff together. Front side of the motor, throw the cam in, retainer plate, gear, chain, guide, oil pump, cover, and the front side of the motor will be done. And then we can throw in the lifters, the trays, and then we can turn our focus on getting the heads in. We got ARP head studs to put in. So all right, now we're lubing up the cam and we're gonna throw it in. We lube up about half of it, put it in, and then lube up the second half once we got it in there. And now we're going to be putting on the cam retainer plate. We're Loctiting the bolts a little bit, and we're going to torque them down to about 18 foot-pounds, 22 foot-pounds.
Alright, now we're going to be putting on the cam gear. Make sure you line up your timing marks. There's a mark on the cam gear and a mark on the crank sprocket. Line those up. Now we're going to throw on the oil pump. This is me fishing for the bolts for the oil pump.
All right, now we're gonna swap out these single springs, these little bitty guys, for my dual springs for the cam kit. They make tools for this, but I made this thing out of a piece of metal that I had the last time I did a cam swap when I did the Z. So we're just gonna use that again. Amazon sells the tools. I bought one, they're like 30 bucks, something like that. And it literally would not compress springs, the dual springs for me, so this does the trick. All right, so I got head number 1 done with the springs. The old ones. Dual springs, you have to change out the valve seal. So if you get heads with new valve seals in them, you're gonna have to change them to the cam kit anyways, because it comes with them, why not? But they're just a little different. You see the little ledge right here at the bottom? That don't fit in the dual spring. So you gotta change those too. But easy peasy. I wish I had a better way to do compress the springs, but this works. Just you got to make sure you line it up when you're compressing the dual spring back down, that the valve goes in the hole right, or you're not going to get the retainers on. Sometimes it's a struggle, but I think with the right tools it'll probably be a lot easier. But like I said, I bought that one off of Amazon and it was a literal piece of junk. It wouldn't even compress these dual springs down far enough to put the retainer in, no matter what I did. So I made that in a pinch and it worked. So I'm using it again. And it's working, but like I said, I'm going to do the second cam, or the second head. I'm going to do that one off camera. No sense in making this video too lengthy with the same thing repeatedly. All right, now we're going to start doing the head gaskets and getting the heads on. We're going to go ahead and clean up the surfaces a little better. They're a little dirty still. So we're going to work on that. My 5.3, I bought these chase bits for the head bolt holes. So we're gonna go ahead and chase these holes. All right, so we got head studs and a head gasket in place. And we got the torque spec for the ARPs right here. Torque sequence according to the LS, but torque specs. And how to apply the grease and all that good stuff. Now we're gonna go ahead and put on one cylinder, one head, whatever. All right, and according to the ARP paperwork, now you got to clean off the washers, both sides of the washer, and then make sure when you put them on the studs that the stamped surface is down, because that's what helps hold the washer in place and allows you to place the torque on the nut. And then you apply your grease to the bolt or the stud and the bottom of the nut, and then torque to spec. Goes 1 through 10, 25 pounds, 50 pounds, 80 pounds. And then the smaller ones goes 28 foot-pounds. Right, now we are going to torque down the main 10 nuts. All right, so now we're going to torque down the head studs. We're going to do just the main 10. The top 5 we'll do another time, probably the same time we do the other side. But I got me a helper. My son's going to help me do these. We got to do this in 3 passes. We got to go to 25 pounds, 50 pounds, and then 80 pounds, following the LS torque pattern. I think I'm going to let my kid do this. All right, man. Here. Just turn it. Turn it. There you go. No, the other way.
This one?
Yep. All right, so we got the one head bolted down, torqued down, and I went ahead and did the other head off camera. You got it all torqued down, and we went ahead and torqued down the smaller bolts on both sides. And I got my valve covers on, and I guess it's time to reveal the intake. There you go. We went with the Holley High Rise, and we went ahead with the Holley Sniper throttle body. Now the reason we went with a high rise is we really like the look of it coming out of the hood, and it's going to perform. And I think when we go turbo later, it's not going to make a huge difference of what intake we have. But I like the way this one looks. It looks massive outside of the car. Overall, it looks pretty good. I think I'm going to touch up the Holley EFI, this right here, with a either a white paint or a color that stands out, because right now the car is black and it'll be black for a little while. It's going to take us a little bit more time to get it wrapped or painted, but we're almost ready. We got to throw the oil pan back on, we got to get the fuel rails on and get the fuel injectors in, and then it'll be time to be able to wire up the Holley and work on getting this thing thrown back in the car. But that's going to be the end of this video, though. It's already getting pretty long. We're going to do the rest of this stuff off camera, just get it done. The next video will be of it going back into the car, and hopefully a first start up in the same video, because hopefully we don't have a lot of problems getting it back together, and hopefully this thing just works. But stay tuned
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Guys, leave comments. Constructive criticism is okay. And of course, motivation. I'll see you guys on the next one.